All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at the Volume. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We are live on AMP. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on our podcast feeds, that AMP is the very first place that you guys can get these shows. Ladies and gentlemen, like it or not, regardless of who you think should win MVP, which we'll talk about later, Joel Embiid, as of right now, has become the minus 470 favorite to win MVP after dominating the Boston Celtics tonight in a very important win, I thought, for the Sixers, just for their psyche heading into this playoff. We're going to break down that game. We're going to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid and the MVP situation. And we're actually going to take some calls from the audience. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to the Volume's YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss any show announcements. And if for whatever reason you guys miss one of these shows and you can't get back over to YouTube to finish, don't forget you can find them wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight. Last but not least, before we get started, you guys have heard me talk about Game Time, the fastest growing ticketing app in the U.S. If you're looking to get out to any NBA games, college basketball games, I guess there's no more college basketball, actually, NHL games, or baseball games, or even a concert or a comedy show, Game Time has amazing last-minute deals on tickets to all of these. So if you want to get out to see your team compete in the NBA playoffs, Game Time has you covered. If you want to get out to watch some Major League Baseball, which is increasingly harder to find on television, Game Time has you covered. Or if you're looking to see Taylor Swift in concert, if you're one of those types of people, you can find a great deal on Game Time. They're going to take great care of you. You're going to get a great seat. You're going to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and you're going to find a great deal. So no matter where you live, get out and have some fun this week. Download the Game Time app, enter your email, and redeem code HOOPS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, enter your email and code HOOPS. That's HOOPS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's talk some basketball. So the interesting storyline in this game, as is always the case whenever a team is going against Joel Embiid, especially when we're heading into a playoff confrontation. Like, we're looking at this, and yeah, the Nets are going to be an interesting challenge for the Sixers. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And the Heat still have an outside chance to get that spot, but they don't have the tiebreaker against Brooklyn. So it's probably going to be Miami versus Boston, but chances are, health permitting, we're probably going to get a Celtics Sixers playoff series here in about 3 weeks. And so usually what I'm looking at in a case like this is just different little matchup pieces that'll probably translate into that type of playoff series, albeit, it's a regular season game. I thought it was clear from the jump that Philly wanted this one more. I think they needed it more. Like I said earlier, for their psyche, you always have to factor in the element of players missing the games. Like Jaylen Brown probably plays if this is a more important game. Robert Williams obviously is going to be a vitally important piece to guarding Joel Embiid in a playoff series. They opted in most cases in this game, especially when PJ Tucker was on the floor, to stick Al Horford on PJ Tucker, basically helping behind, and then Grant Williams on the ball. And, it's funny, the difference in size there. Grant Williams kind of fared pretty well against Giannis in the playoffs last year. Giannis is just a little bit smaller than Joel Embiid, but he struggled mightily against Joel Embiid in this matchup. And then for the most part throughout the whole game, they left Joel Embiid in single coverage until the end of the game, when they finally started recklessly doubling off of PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid made the right reads, and PJ Tucker finally made a couple of massively important threes that ended up being the deciding factor in this game. Kind of a fascinating night for a 50-point Joel Embiid game, for it to be determined in large part after a tie game late on him making the right reads down the stretch. I think everything fundamentally with Joel Embiid comes down to the improvements he's made at the free throw line as a jump shot maker. It's funny, I talk a lot about, the physical confrontations at the point of attack. And obviously it's different for heavy ball handlers who are hitting tons of dribble combinations. It becomes so much more about foot speed and anticipation and those sorts of things. But these confrontations at the forward position, anywhere like 3, 4, 5 in the front court, they come down a lot more to the physical altercation. It's a lot more the like hitting shoulders and who's going to win that shoulder confrontation. Like, are you going to blow through the defender's shoulder, or is the defender going to hold his ground and kind of keep you kind of flatten out your drive away from the rim? And it's so important in that case to have the jump shooting threat, because the bigger threat you are as a jump shooter, the closer the forward has to guard you. If the forward has to guard you closely, then you can go to that rip through move. And Embiid is just so damn big and strong that he's going to win that rip through move every single time. But if he doesn't have the jumper, then they can play off, and it's more about anticipation. And now if you slide your feet well, maybe you can take a charge, or you have more opportunity to dig down from the wings and help, right? But Joel Embiid has become so unbelievably deadly with that pull-up 15-foot shot there at the free throw line that you can't play off of him anymore. Like, there was a bunch of early possessions there in that fourth quarter where, Blake Griffin is in that same kind of predicament where it's like, am I going to press up on him and let him go around me, or am I going to concede the shot? Well, if you concede that shot, he's just making it every single time now. And it's made him borderline unguardable, because if he knocks down that, if you give him the space, he's going to knock it down. If you press up on him, it's not a question of ball handling. It's not a question of anything other than the fact that he's so much bigger and stronger than you that when he goes to that rip through move, he's either going to get around you or you're going to foul him. And that's why chances are your best, my feeling for how to beat Philly in a playoff series is the same as it was last year. You double the hell out of Joel Embiid every time he has the basketball, turn him into a passer, try to get help off of the worst shooter on the other team, in this case, PJ Tucker, and you live with the results. And then with James Harden, you try to turn him into a scorer, because at this phase in his career, he's not quite as dynamic as he used to be scoring the basketball. But that Embiid matchup was a huge problem for him. It'll definitely look different in a series. I think you'll see the alternate of what you saw tonight. Instead of Al Horford kind of being tucked back and help, I think you'll often see Al Horford on the ball. And when Al Horford is on the ball, you'll see Robert Williams on PJ Tucker hawking the paint, making it a little bit easier for Al Horford to be aggressive without fouling, knowing that he's got a real rim protector behind him. But this is the chess match of playoff basketball, because the best offensive stretches for the Celtics were when Al Horford was at the 5 and they were able to really space Philly out. And, there's a lot of positive from Boston in this game. They were in control of this game until Embiid basically stole it from him with his own individual greatness. And Boston has looked extremely impressive here over the last couple of weeks, starting with that absolute shellacking of the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. I've always said that Boston, I think, has the most overall talent in the league. I think that was the case last year and this year. Doesn't mean they're the best team. Talent is only one small part of what makes a great basketball team, but they do have the most talent. And what that means is that when they play good basketball, their good basketball is going to be better than everyone else's good basketball. And they have so much talent on that roster. Like, look at the guard battle in this game. I would argue that Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White outplayed James Harden and Tyrese Maxey in this game. And if that happens in a playoff series, that's a serious problem, because Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum combined will be able to at least meet what Joel Embiid can bring to the table. And so it was an interesting game, because I came away very impressed by Joel Embiid. But at the same time, it looks more and more like Boston might very well be the best team in the conference. I've been very delicate about making my predictions, because I really do want to wait until after Sunday. We have a show on Sunday. We will get into this stuff on Sunday. We're going live after that last round of games. But, right now, like, my safe picks are Denver out west and Milwaukee out east, just because they've demonstrated that to this point. But it could just as easily be Lakers or Warriors or Suns out west, and I could very well end up picking Boston when it's all said and done. And I do want to have the rest of this week to look deeper at it. But Boston's guards, their dribble penetration was the story of this game. They just on the Boston side of things, it was a layup line. Philly could not contain them at the point of attack. They were consistently engaging Embiid at the rim as a rim protector and help, and kicking to shooters on the weak side, whether it was Al Horford or whether it was Grant Williams. There was even a little sequence there in the middle fourth where Jayson Tatum was trying to attack Tyrese Maxey, drawing doubles and kicking to Derek White. They just have a lot of ability to get Philly into help and to get good shooting, or get good shot opportunities. And they have the most ball handling and shooting by far in the league, in my opinion, down the roster. They've got like 7 or 8 guys that can all hit a three consistently and put the basketball on the floor and make plays. They are a terrifying team. And without Jaylen Brown and without Robert Williams, they gave Philly a hell of a fight tonight. And here's the thing. Embiid was amazing. He was the best player on the floor by a mile. But what if PJ Tucker misses those shots? And there's a chance that he's going to miss them potentially in multiple games in a playoff series between these two teams. So again, I'm very impressed by Embiid. Like we talked about earlier, I think he's just about certain to win MVP at this point. Vegas tends to agree. Like we talked about earlier, he's minus 470. I personally still think Giannis deserves it. I think he's the best player on the best team. And I think Giannis just resoundingly outplayed Joel Embiid the other night. But that's irrelevant to what's actually going to happen. It seems pretty clear now that Embiid's going to get it. But, interestingly enough, from the matchup perspective, I came away from this game mostly impressed by the Boston Celtics.